that relates to working hard, serving with diligence and honesty, the flexibility to keep learning. You never get to a space where you feel that you know it all. I believe in supporting human beings whenever I can to be better. I also believe in celebrating opportunities of others instead of fighting them, because in this global space you find people competing for stars, yet in life we are supposed to be complementary. I believe that my star can shine and your star will shine at the right time, or is also already shining. My goal in life is also to leave people better the way I found them. I believe that by the end of this conversation, we will be better. I also believe that you leave places of positions better than you left them. I am a highly critical person. I love detail. I ask so many questions for one to understand, but also for clarity. Clarity is important in life. If you don't have clarity wherever you are, or in a place where you are, in a position where you are, or even in a relationship in which you are, then you are bound to fail. So there's need for clarity, and I always tell people, find out where your positioning is. What is my position in this relationship? What is my position in this space? What is my position in this home or in this office? So clarity is very important. I think, yeah, that's it about me, outside being a lawyer, outside being a professional. I do a lot of things, but I'll restrict myself to the professional bit of it. Yes. I'm a lawyer by training and an intellectual property and business law expert in my own right. But I also leader, commonly known as a public servant or a public a person who serves in the public space. But I also clarify that I love serving people in the public space, in the professional line or voluntary line, not in the political line. You know, when people hear that we love serving people in the public space, we don't, I don't do politics. I don't like politics. But I love serving people in my professional space and in my social spaces, because I belong to Rotary and other community development organizations. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. A Rotarian, a lawyer, a simple person, the Registrar General, the official receiver, the Uganda Registration Services Bureau. Now, one of the things, Mercy, that people are asking about and that we are hearing is just a proper understanding of the Uganda Registration Services Bureau. What's the mandate? Like if you're to define the Bureau, I know many people know the Bureau, and certainly many of the lawyers who are listening know the Bureau, but we also have many people who are members of the public, and I think just if you could just give us a bird's eye view of the Bureau.
Thank you. Thank you, Elison. Yes, Uganda Registration Services Bureau is a government agency that was established by an act of parliament in 1998, but became autonomous in 2010, 2011. And it was set up to take the functions of the Registrar General and to register business entities and intellectual property as well as the civil registrations, which we have since transitioned to NIRA, and the last one being marriages. We were also established to register the security interest in movable property, commonly known as chattels, to act as official receivers and implement laws that relate to the insolvency and liquidation. And as we speak, we are a commercial agency of the state, and we advise government. We develop policies around our role, and we influence the legal and administrative reforms in that sector. And we are the custodians of all business entities, intellectual properties, insolvent entities, but also the collateral registry, as well as the non-individual registry, which is a new kid on the block that was introduced just last year as a new registry that consolidates all legal entities. So we are custodians of all the registrations. But beyond being custodians of these registrations, we are the gatekeepers of the data that relates to all the services that are mentioned, and we are the foundation on which the economy thrives. Many economies, especially modern economies, thrive on corporate registers. And by corporate registers, we can include all that I've mentioned, including intellectual property, because it's the corporations and individuals that register the intellectual property. And so as we keep this data, as we digitized the same, we are protecting investments, building an investor-friendly and confident environment, influencing decisions in terms of planning in the economy and all sectors, among many things. Thank you.
Very much. If you're just joining us, welcome to the Judicial Service Conversations. We are having a conversation with the Registrar General, Uganda Registration Services Bureau, the Registrar General of the Republic of Uganda. And we've just had a very brief overview we've just had a very brief overview of what URSB does, and I think we kind of get the picture. Of course, there are words which many people need to understand. Like when you talk about collateral, that's security. For those of you who, when you talk about shuttles, I think that's movable property. If you're out there and you can monetize your car, you can use your car to raise some capital to do a business, and it can be registered and securitized, so it can be safe to lenders. But and that's really where I want to go to the next question. If you could just help us, Mercy, and just give us briefly the registries under your supervision, the company ones, all those registries that under your supervision. And then if you could help us in that answer, just explain to us how those registries help to shape the legal and economic order. Now, why this is important if you're just joining us, the business is done through business vehicles. And contracts are simply money in motion for many people. Many people understand that a contract is money moving from Alfred to me, for example. But the URSB comes in with all these different registries. So if you just take us through the different registries, I know you have legal, you have companies, you have all these intellectual properties. Even you know, there are some relationships, for example. I know it left URSB, but you could also tell us about them. There are some relationships which are contractual in nature, but they continue through the night, you know. marriages and things like that. So they used to be registered, and so maybe if you could just give us through that entire registration landscape, the bird's eye view of the registration landscape. But if you're just joining us, welcome to the Judicial Service Conversations. Over to you, RG.
Thank you very much, Elison. Indeed, there are many transactions that are registered with Uganda Registration Services Bureau. The Uganda Registration Services Bureau hosts over 22 registries, and these registries include the registries under business registration, and these are the business name register, the company register, and the company also is classified. We have the companies that are non-profit making, like places of worship, orphanages, and so on. We have companies that are limited, that are limited by shares and are private in nature. We have public companies, that's those are other registers. We have foreign companies. These are companies registered abroad, but outside Uganda, but extended here for registration. We have partnerships or sole proprietorships under the business names registrations. We have a register of legal documents under the documents registrations law, and these also are categorized. We have documents that like powers of attorney. We have contracts, agreements, and gift deeds, and so on. And these are registered as legal documents under the law. We have registration of collateral or movable property under the security interest in movable property law, where you can register any movable property apart from land, inventory, stock, intellectual property, cars, or vehicles, the crops. There's so much that you can register. Everything that moves apart from human beings can be registered under that collateral registry. We have the non-individual register, which is a new register, and this relates to the consolidation of anything that is registered that is not a human being, because there are two main foundations of records within any country. We have the Register of Persons, which is run by NIRA, but we also have a register of non-persons, all artificial persons, and those are the ones that can transact and have a legal corporate persona, but we also have those that are in a shape of sole proprietorships. They cannot transact, they cannot buy property, but they are businesses of formations, and so they are all piled in that non-individual register. So it's a collection of even cooperative societies, every registration that is even outside URSB, because Uganda is trying to reorganize its registry so that the legal entities can be accessed in one place, and then the registered persons can also be accessed in one place. We have the registers that are concerning industrial property, and in general it is intellectual property, but intellectual property is categorized in industrial property and copyright. And under the industrial property we have like the trademark register, and the trademark register also has the service marks and trademarks. We have the register of patents, and also under that we have the utility models register, the technovations register. We have the industrial designs register. We have the geographical indications register. We have the traditional knowledge register, and we are trying to formulate even a sui generis law to that effect. But at the moment we are using some components of a mix of copyright law. Then we have the copyright register that has the artistic, scientific, and literary works. And this one is unique in a way because copyright is not has no formalities per se under the law. When you express and produce this work, as long as it is original and attributed to you, it is automatically protected. By the Ugandan law does provide for the option of registration, and we encourage registration for evidential purposes. So we have that register as well. Then we have the register of securities, and these are secure transactions which enable access to affordable credit, and that is the collateral registry that I had already mentioned. We have a register of trademark agents under the law, copyright inspectors as well, but also under the insolvency and receivership. We have a register of businesses that are undergoing either restructuring or closure or exit or rescue, and also a register of insolvency practitioners and who are authorized to perform insolvency functions. And we have also a register of mini registers under the main and master registers on company ownership, the changes in ownership, the state of any entity that is registered, and for now, that is what we have. So we have all information that relates to the lives of companies and intellectual property, insolvency, security, immovable property. You asked about the marriages. Yes, we have had the marriage register. We had even birth and death, and we transferred it to NIRA in 2016 because we're handling civil vital registrations. And because we're handling it in phases, under the rationalization exercise by government of Uganda, we handed over the marriages function in October 2025 to NIRA to complete the whole cycle of everything that relates to a person. NIRA handles your birth, when you're born, the national identification, if you happen to get married, the marriages, but also the death, when you die at 150 years. So that is NIRA, and for us we are into now commercial solely, with exception of the non-profit making entities. Thank you.
I don't know if you're all getting us. I think I saw at one point we had on X, I think we had lost, I think, what you were saying. So I think you are, and our YouTube audience will bear with us, but I think we lost you at the point where you were talking about the benefits of the registers. I think you had given us I think we lost you at the point where you explained how the personal registers, births, deaths, and marriages were moved to NIRA. Maybe if you could just repeat that point very briefly so that our ex-listeners don't lose it.
Yes, the government of Uganda has been transitioning and reorganizing its registers. And I mentioned that the registers relating to persons were all fully transferred to NIRA, starting with the 2016, having transferred the birth and death register. And then, of course, the birth of the national identification. But also recently in October 2025, we transferred the final civil vital registration register, which is the civil marriages, And of course, under that, there are about 5 types of marriages that are registered in Uganda and authorized, that are authorized in Uganda. And now it is NIRA that handles everything to do with the marriages. And as URSB, now we are fully commercial, handling the whole cycle of business registers, intellectual property, security, interest in movable property, all chattels, the insolvency and receivership function, the copyright function was also separated from the intellectual property, so that we separate industrial property from from the copyright as well, and save for the non-profit making entities which are non-commercial, like churches, orphanages, and so on. We are purely a commercial entity, and we hold all these registers fully intact and digitized. Thank you.
So if you're just joining us, welcome to the Judicial Service Conversations. We're having the Registrar General, and we have registers of persons where you're born, you grow up, get married, you get a national ID, you vote, you die. That is handled in NIRA. Up to the point of you die at 150 years. Now, companies seem to have a longer lifespan, and you've had all manner of commercial transactions that can be documented and registered. So you're out there. They call Alfred here. I'll introduce him shortly. Alfred is the head of a group called Young Lawyers. I keep telling him I'm in it, but he doesn't seem to agree. But we look like we're age mates. But anyhow, so you're up there. You are the young lawyer, and I think what you've had is that in the heart of a commercial practitioner, of a corporate lawyer, at the heart of your practice is the Uganda Registration Services Bureau. Whether you're talking about industrial property, copyrights, whether you're talking about artistic works, whether you're talking about even those we had about, I think you called it the sui generis law is coming. Even the Afrochem guys are also covered in this. Those who believe a lot in Afrochemistry. I know I see some pharmacists on, my friend Natif is here. So all these people who want to register different medicines from all manner of places. But if you're just joining us, welcome. We are learning. We are moving together. We are understanding the business ecosystem of the Republic of Uganda. And you can only do that in one place on a Wednesday. The Parliament of the Bar. Over to you, Alfred. Alfred, who is going to ask the next question, is, to be fair to him, the Young Lawyers, he's the Deputy Secretary General of the East African Law Society, but he's in charge of young lawyers. But he has been young now for such an amount of time that really we need to go to the registry and make sure and see which registry this youngness would fall under, because he seems to be like the common law in a stage of eternal youth. But over to you, Alfred.
Really, what happens at URSB that is not even taught at law school. Like most of them until today, they didn't know that there are almost 22 registries at URSB. So we really appreciate your time today. Maybe, and from what you said, beyond registering businesses and entities, like intellectual property and all other companies, basically being the foundation of the businesses in Uganda, we understand URSB exercises several other quasi-judicial powers in areas of like registration of the company registry, several objections, and the solvency supervision. So the people on call, both lawyers and non-lawyers, would like to understand the legal basis of these powers and how they operate in practice, because I don't have any people practice before the URSB. Like you can keep saying I have a matter before court, but people say I have a matter at the URSB, so they will have to understand how those powers operate and what will happen is when exercising those quasi-judicial powers. Thank you.
The young lawyer. I should apply to be a member because I think I also qualify. That's an interesting question indeed. Where Uganda Registration Services Bureau derives its quasi-judicial powers. The quasi-judicial powers of Uganda Registration Services Bureau are derived from the statutes and from the registers that I've mentioned. Every register has its law, its own law. I'll give an example of business name registrations. They are governed by the Business Names Registrations Act, and whatever decision is derived from therefrom. The Companies Act gives the registrar powers, and there are even regulations that affect the company powers of the registrar, regulations of 2016 that spell out the powers of the registrar, heavy powers, by the way, to take decisions in terms of a rectification of the register, to order for a change of name where a name has been erroneously given and it is confusingly similar to another party. We hear cases or disputes. We handle close to 100, 90 to 100 cases a year in terms of the company, and most of these cases, interestingly or by coincidence, relate to the illegal transfer of shares or unlawful transfer of shares, or the abuse of the majority by majority shares of the minority, and so we have the laws and the regulations that give us those powers. So they are not administrative or decisions that are given by ourselves, but they are given by the law. And when you look at also the partnerships that are registered under the Partnership Act, the documents, the powers of attorney that transfer give a lot of powers to people, and the agreements, the contracts. That contract, the paper that you see, bears a monetary value of billions, because you're transferring land, authorizing somebody to transfer land from one entity to another, from one person to another, or even use your title to get credit from the bank. A power of attorney is a powerful tool, or any agreement. So they are regulated under the Documents Registrations Act. When you look at the trademarks, the trademarks are regulated by the Trademarks Act Cap 225 and the regulations they are under, and these are regulations of 2023. And these regulations spell out the powers of the registrar, the powers to attend to oppositions. Oppositions in this respect are relate to an application that has been objected to, an application for a trademark that has been objected to because of confusing similarity, maybe because of it is so descriptive, or because it is laudatory, because it is against public order and morality. And we have a number of grounds an opposition can be raised. And what we do as the registrars, we hear the parties. When we receive an opposition application, we invite the statements of a claim and of defense, and we set hearing dates, and we hear these cases on their merit and take these decisions that are binding Where we do not go is where there are elements of criminal liability. We leave it to the courts of judicature, or where there are heavy damages, even when the law somehow grants us powers to award costs. We are sometimes careful on the level and the jurisdiction. Actually, even when we receive these applications, we look at the jurisdiction. Do we have the powers to preside over this matter? And when you look at our registers, we have, like in the last, every year, we have like 50 trademark oppositions, and we take decisions, and by coincidence, many, or when there's an appeal, because these laws that give us the quasi-judicial powers also give the clients or the applicants or even the respondents powers to appeal to High Court if they are dissatisfied with the decision of the registrar. It's very clear under the law. And by coincidence, most judges have agreed with and upheld our decisions. And so, in short, young lawyer Alfred, our powers as registrars are derived from the statutes, from the acts and the regulations they are under, and they are legally binding. And the beauty is that when you are dissatisfied with the decision of the registrar, you have a right to appeal to High Court, and it's very a specific High Court, not any other court. Thank you. I could also add that we have also a role on matters of insolvency. We supervise and regulate insolvency, but also under the copyright law, we had forgotten that we have the regulatory role in terms of regulation of collecting management societies, how they are registered, how they behave, how they deploy corporate governance structures within their systems. We supervise copyright inspectors, and we also have some administrative interventions where we set up an enforcement unit that also assists with compliance in as far as the laws are concerned, especially the payment of fines, but also largely dealing with counterfeits and pirated products under the copyright system and also under the trademark system. Thank you.
At this rate, Galosat you're supposed to get free sale e-points from Galosat for such knowledge. And at least now the lawyers won't quite understand, because when you say every register has its own law, it takes us back when you're having exams for corporate and commercial. This where you go with the whole, as if the whole like double cabin of books, because every register has its own law. Now when you mentioned URSB and was close to 192 cases per year, it made me reflect on the pressure which we have on the ordinary courts. So just from that point, how does how do these quasi-judicial functions by URSB reduce on the pressure on the courts? And do we have any statistics or numbers showing how many matters are resolved administratively per year instead of going into the normal courts for litigation? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alfred. That's an interesting question indeed. Our role, especially in dispute resolution and also deploying another arm of alternative dispute resolution mechanism, we assist courts in many ways. When we appreciate the role that the courts of judicature play in resolving disputes, but also we understand the government of Uganda understands that they are overwhelmed, that not every matter should end up in court. And actually your question reminds me of the local interventions, like the LC dispute resolution mechanism. Somebody has stolen your chicken, You don't have to run to court. You can get a neighbor and an LC or a respected citizen to mediate and resolve these matters, either through compensation or a payback or a simple penalty that is authorized under the law. And so coming to the government institutions, and it's not only URSB, the government institutions have been given the quasi-judicial powers to resolve disputes, to assist in managing the cases, the flooding of cases in the courts of judicature. But we also see the value that it has created in terms of the cost of access to justice, because here we're looking at cost of access to justice. What does it take for an ordinary person to access justice in this country? If you are going to go to the court of judicature, you may need a smart lawyer like you, Alfred, and you don't come cheap, according to the way I have valued you. You don't come cheap. And an ordinary person may not afford your bill. Not that I'm taking a business away from you, but we want to balance it to ensure that there's sanity and law and order in our societies and communities. And so coming to an institution like URSB means that you may not even need a legal representation to present your case, but for those who are critical, may require lawyers. And of course, for filing pleadings, you may need the technical assistance of the legal professions. And you don't pay any fee, any aggrieved party under the law. Any aggrieved party can apply to the registrar. And this is where now the lawyers start discussing the local standard and all that, but any aggrieved party can apply. So it's by simple application, and then we serve the other party, and service under the law has its own regulations, and when the other party responds, we advise for a statement of case or claim, or put your grounds under which you're making your claims, and then we serve the other party. And the law is very clear on how many days, like the trademark law prescribes the time the counter statement should be filed, either within 42 days, then the other party should file within a specific period. And once all parties have submitted their pleadings, we set a hearing date. And the hearing date is for either presenting even the evidence, and we always insist even in writing, but also verbal, to strengthen your case. And then we take a decision. We set a ruling date, and we take out these rulings, well documented, well researched with case citations, and they are available on the different platforms. So it is as simple. And how we are helping the courts of judicature is that the process is simple. It is not prolonged, because some of the provisions are prescriptive within how many days. And even Uganda Registration Services Bureau has taken it to another level beyond the regulations and that we have that guide us. We also have the service delivery standards that and the client's charter. And just today we celebrated the ISO certification that puts us at another level, that beyond the procedures, beyond the laws in the books and the policies, what is the international standard within which to conclude that dispute? So the time taken to conclude the dispute also influences the cost of access to justice, the money that is paid, the documentation that is involved. Sign here, swear this, come tomorrow. This one is not available. When registrars that are hearing the cases are not available, they are passed on to the rest. So it is generally to simplify the matter is that we make we make the cost of access to justice affordable for any person, and because of the timely delivery of the decisions, but also the less costs that are involved in resolving these disputes. Thank you.
That thing you've said about the lawyers, the timing. So the lawyers are sitting down, hearing disputes that would otherwise be heard by the courts. We don't want to push you in that, to ask you questions about that, but here we have a word for those sort of people. We call them mission-based lawyers, but mission-based judges. But allow me to introduce you to another member of our team, Joy E. Mbabazi. Let me introduce a member of our team, Joy E. Mbabazi. Joy is also a young lawyer. She has the thing they call Young Lawyers series, where she goes around serializing young lawyer problems. But also she's really a crucial member of that team. And but before maybe Joy comes in, I've been seeing some comments. There's one particular one which I think I want to read. The number, maybe I'll go through some of them. There'll be questions. I think we'll find a way to do them as questions, but just I think there's something from Enoch Seguya about, are we reimagining the rule of law for Vision 2040 or digitizing the bottlenecks we claim to break? How does URSB embed ironclad inclusivity and enforcement safeguards in a brave new ADR frontier? That question is very hard, Enoch. If you can help me to explain it better so that I can explain it better, I will be much obliged. There's Patty Nsimbi who says, how might emerging ESG regulations in Uganda influence corporate governance? And pushing companies' ESG regulations influence corporate governance, pushing companies towards greater transparency. There is Jesse. How effective is URSB's encouragement of mediation and arbitration in business disputes in preventing cases from reaching the courts? There is Andy Nwamanya who wants to know which sector URSB falls in. There's someone called Stella Mulunji who is asking a powerful question. What is the essence of URA giving themselves bonuses after squeezing us? But I think that's not for mercy. I feel your pain, but I think that's not for mercy. There's Bunoti Yusuf Nicholas, who says URSB has transitioned from the Companies Act 2012 to the Companies Act Cap 106. But you still have documents being cited by the system as the Companies Act 2012. Could you explain the inconsistency? There's actually no inconsistency. Maybe I'll help answer that. Nicholas, it is still the Companies Act of 2012, except that it is well captured in Chapter 106 of the Laws of Uganda of 2022. By 2012, we had not yet captured these laws in the red volumes, but it is still the Act of 2012. Someone says they think you're awesome. Then there's someone who has advice for us. I think this is Susanava, who says that Elison and company, can you rebrand to the Parliament of the Land? Someone had once told me we should be Parliament of Lawyers, because the Ugandan bars already have a parliament. That is now an intellectual property issue. We shall be able to take on these Ugandan bars. But she said, great choice of guest. She has got us thinking about how much of our economy depends on registers most of us use or think about. And so maybe just before I bring in Joy, I think the gist of the questions, I think we've gone through them. I think if you could just give us a brief sweeping answer to them, I think it's really questions. I think what the public is really asking from these questions is this really the feel. I think they're just testing URSB in a way. Many of our people don't seem to have been. I think you've interested our people in URSB. So maybe if you could just pick out a few of them. I think they're generally the same, and I think they, except for that one about bars, I think they revolve around business registration, business protection, and understanding of the business ecosystem.
Thank you, Elson, and thank you to our partners that are asking questions but also contributing knowledge on the X and other media platforms that they are. Indeed, the questions relate to the corporate registers in terms of the rule of law, in terms of the ESG model deployments, and in terms of mediation or opportunities, and so on. Of course, when a company is registered, it's one thing to register a company and you get the legal existence and or legal protection of that entity, and even beyond, take it to protection of its brand and its all intellectual property assets and the chattels. And registration is one part, but also there's a part of building the company. And building the company involves how this company operates. And usually these are internal matters of any company, but they must operate within an infrastructure. And one should be within the acceptable rules. When you see mention the ESG model, looking at the environmental, social, and governance issues, every company has its own mission and vision. But it is important that you deploy these models. If you're going to look at the environment, what are the guidelines in terms of how you're going to respect the environment? And the environment can be as simple as, are you going to run a paperless company to save the environment? Or how do you dispose of the waste if you are in the marketplace? If you're in the oil and gas sector, how are you handling the environmental? If you're in the whole value chain, either the midstream, all any stream, any level of the extractive industry. The social aspects are so many, and they also evolve around human resource, what documentation, what the mental state of your workers. When it comes to governance, governance is so broad. You can even zero on technological digital governance. What is your digital governance as far as your company is concerned? Or what is the corporate governance? How are you structuring your business? Or do you have accountability aspects? Do you have the documentation that is required? Do you have an account as simple as that? Do you have an advisor or even a board or a board of governors or even a secretary, a corporation secretary? So governance is so broad, but it is advisable that for any company to thrive and survive, you must have governance structures, be it digital or corporate governance, among many things. And lastly, how URSB has deployed effective mediation or ADR in resolving disputes. Indeed, as I mentioned, with our quasi-judicial powers, the hearing of the cases that are before us is also governed by our internal policies, and we give opportunities to the parties to be heard. And there are cases where the parties have preferred to have talks, and we give them an opportunity. And most of these cases are family related. Elison, we have so many families, family legacy companies that when sometimes the head of the family demises, there should be continuity, but you find that the children are fighting over their share. It is even worse, with all due respect, when it is a disorganized polygamous family and the man has not documented. We need to, we follow so many aspects, and we come into even cool the tempers. Some even are markets, markets that have been registered, and they have hundreds of shareholders, and they are fighting over buildings and spaces, and we have to cool them down, and before even they go into the hearing systems, in the hearing phase. So we deploy different aspects of resolving disputes, and at the end of the day, as registrars, we want to see a dispute resolved, and where it cannot, we refer the parties to the courts of judicature. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that elaborate response. I want to believe that the particular people that ask these questions, you have been able answered. Let us know if you still think there's some bit of clearing to be done, but we want to appreciate you for choosing to listen to JSC tonight, as we discuss beyond incorporation, URSB and corporate accountability in Uganda. Now, there's our audience is a bit of a mix. We have the lawyers, and then we also have the general public. And so for this particular question, I think for someone who is not legal, but they're using URSB, we just want to know, what do you think is the current average turnaround time for company incorporation, filing and returns, registering, charge, and processing intellectual property applications? I could repeat that maybe. What is the current average turnaround time for company incorporation, filing and returns, registering, charge, and processing intellectual property applications? If you could help respond to them, especially for a public user who may not necessarily be legal. Over to you.
Thank you, Joy, for that wonderful question. Joy, the young lawyer. Indeed, we appreciate the fact that our listeners and viewers are mixed, and they would want to appreciate the turnaround time of Uganda registrations services. Our turnaround time actually is even recorded in our client's charter. The service delivery standard documents, but also on our websites, and our commitment to the client is for company registration, which is fully the process is fully automated. It takes 4 hours. Many years ago, it used to take weeks because the processes were not automated, and there was a lot of paperwork involved, a lot of movement from one bank to another, from one office to another, but everything has been automated, and you can get your company as long as you have paid, submitted all requisite documents in 4 hours or less. For the documents, legal documents, annual returns, certifications, they are instant, they're an instant service, and all these are done online. They're instant. They used also to take days, but now it is instant services. For intellectual property, they are categorized because every aspect of intellectual property has its own guidelines. For a trademark, an application that is also done online through our industrial property automated system and front office, which is the digital platform for submission of your application. It takes, it's a one-day service. usually between 4 to also 5 hours, an application. And the next stage of after application is a publication in a media of wide circulation, and usually our clients use the Uganda Gazette, which is an external service, and it takes almost 3 to 4 days, especially to get the UPPC to publish your work, because this is taken by the client. It also depends on when the client submits it to to UPPC. Then after it has been published, we take it on again. We handle the application part, the examination, the formal and substantive examination. We give you a go-ahead to submit your application, and then you take it for the Gazette, and then we after it has been published in the Gazette, we count 60 days from the date of publication, and you are supposed to register, and the certificate is also done in 3 to 4 hours for a trademark registration. For a patent, it depends, because the criteria of patent grants is also different. We do the formal examination. There's also the substantive examination that is done regionally and internationally, and to some extent locally. And once that has been concluded and your application has been found to be suitable to qualify to be a patent or a utility model, we also grant the certificate after payment of registration fee, and then you publish that. The timeline for a patent statutory is between 3 to 6 months, because that's the statutory period, and it's not about Uganda. It's an international standard. For the copyright, the geographical indication also takes a bit of time, because and affordable, and the service for a copyright is instant. So you can see averagely our processes are, the turnaround time is good. And when you look at the competitiveness of Uganda in terms of doing business, the criteria is you look at all the parameters. You look at the time it takes to register, the cost in terms of the registration fees, also the cost in terms of movement. But all our services are digital and automated, and we belong to the corporate registers that are really leading in Africa, and we are doing so well in terms of the turnaround time. Thank you.
To know our rating, not just in East Africa, but Africa. I think that deserves some applause. Then there's somebody who just said that you have elevated Alfred all of a sudden. You're saying that the Chibanja lawyer is after tonight he might not be recognizable. So I'm worried that the man is going to be something else. But Alfred, I hope you stay humble. Okay, so now that you've talked about technology, I think this is something that we keep having at JSC, because we do recognize that this is where the world is moving. And much as there's been mixed reactions for Uganda, there's a little bit of worry that we are either lagging behind, and when the changes do come in, some people are saying, how are we going to survive? Case in point, last week we had a discussion about the new directive by the Chief Justice, His Lordship, Dr. Yes, thank you, Dr. Zaija, where he said that everything is going to be completely digital when it comes to the court system effective June. And so you've talked about URSB having started on that process already and giving it a ranking on the African stage. So if you may, what would you say is technology backbone that is powering URSB today, and would you say it is fully integrated across all registries? Over to you.
Thank you very much, Joy, for that question. Yeah, technology. In 2013 or thereabout, I think it was 2010, I read a book, The Death of Distance. And that book, The Death of Distance, made a lot of predictions. And that was in 2009 when I was doing my MBA. The Death of Distance made predictions that when you read it now, all predictions have been fulfilled. And the author mentioned that in a few years, distance will no longer be an excuse because communication tools will be deployed. It will be easy to communicate to your colleagues. It will be easy to study online. It will be easy to do all things. But what they never talked about and what was silent is whether it will be easy for partners to maintain a relationship using technology. That is on a lighter note. So technology has been here and is moving faster than anything. And the earlier we embrace it, the better. And it also takes me to the time when WhatsApp had come, also these social media platforms, even before, way before WhatsApp, the Facebook generation. It is not here. The Facebook generation is not here. All these are young lawyers. The Snapchat, all these things, people are seeing them as tools of disruption. But of course, if you don't control yourself, they can be disruptive. But along the way, people had to adapt because you either adapt or perish. You either adapt to mobile money. You remember when people could not allow to use mobile money technologies or even use online banking or e-banking. They thought their money would disappear along the way technologically or online. And you see how technology has shifted. There were also plans that were made on the physical infrastructure. Put up a building, you expect walk-in clients or open many branches of the banks. But now we have agency banking. And it's no longer necessary for banks to open physical stations. And so coming to your question, Joy, these directives from the leaders of today that are leading in the 21st century and towards the 5th industrial revolution are leaders with a difference. Because we are not only leaders that adapt, we are transformational leaders because we believe that if we do not adapt, we shall lag behind. And using the example and the case study of Uganda Registration Services Bureau, the registry in Uganda started in 1910. For those young people you can count, it's now at 116 years of the registry, with the first registration of a business, the first registration of a trademark, the certificates issued in 1911 and 1912 respectively. And these documents have been on the register. They never were destroyed even by the changes in the political cycles. And we captured all these documents in our digital system through our digitization agenda. And I must say that URSB records from 1910 are 100% digitized within our digital register. We maintain the physical registers, of course, because as per the law, we are not required to destroy because the registers, or we hold the corporate registers, are registers of ownership. You can't destroy evidence, especially even the agreements that were so high level and signed to transfer many properties, including kingdom agreements and so on. So we digitized all these documents. And it is after on that foundation of digitization and data cleaning up and updating that we based our online systems. We are looking at cross-border trade. We are looking at the ease of movement in terms of the physical movement, people, labor, and goods under the East African Common Markets Protocol. We are looking at the COMESA arrangement. You're looking at the Africa Continental Trade Area Agreements. And we are looking at cross-border engagements, and we cannot hold our hands just because other people thrive outside the digital governance. And so we decided to digitize, but also automate all our processes. We have the online systems that register businesses, the online business registration system that registers all your businesses, the documents, that you don't have to walk into any person's office to get this, your business registered or any document. You just log onto our system. But if you have difficulty with access to the internet, we have self-service stations in our regional offices, in the municipalities where we are around the nation, but also in our mobile door-to-door engagements, and also our headquarters and our Kampala established offices. When you walk in, we have client support service centers manned by our professional staff that will lead you and help you to upload all these documents. And so it has been easy to register business in Uganda. When it comes to intellectual property, we have the industrial property automated system and the front office system. You also have to, you just log into the system and you submit your documents online without any interference. And also this relates to the security interest in movable property, 100% online. The system is run online and it is integrated with the Ministry of Transport, and even our online business registration system is integrated with the NIRA for person identification, because any person, especially a citizen that registers, applies to register any business, must be identified through their NIN, by their NIN. And then we integrated with the Uganda Revenue Authority for the tax identification number, for the TIN number, the NSSF for the NSSF number. All these systems are integrated, and of course with the broader network of NITA. And that is with the security interest in movable property system. Even the insolvency system, we have an online system that supports the registration process as well. Excuse me. Thank you.
Thank you for that response and coverage. And we just want to continue appreciating Ms. Mercy for coming in, for giving us a time, and talking to us about all the things that are happening at URSB. And she's been elaborate about technology, how it has come in and how it has been efficient. And I think the highlight for somebody has been the registration of the company now takes only 4 hours actually, and the document also takes around the same time, and like before. So those are some of the changes that are going on, and also the fact that I think she stated something, that we are not just leaders that adapt, we are transformational leaders. So we have to lean into some of these things that we think terrify us. And I think she gave best examples of things like mobile money and the e-banking systems and all that, where people did not feel safe on whether their money was moving from one channel to the other, and it would be safe in the in-between. And I think that has ably been dealt with. Now, I just want to take a look at some of the comments or some of the questions from the audience, and we just want to remind you and appreciate you in case you've just joined us. We are talking about Beyond Incorporation, URSB, and corporate accountability in Uganda, right? Seguya, I don't know if you've been able to tone down your question because this was too much English. So we're still here. We're going to cover it, but you might have to break it down so that we ably respond to that. And then we also had a comment and question in there from Anthony Natif. He's saying it's nice to see the efficiency improvements at URSB, but there is a need for more flexibility on company names. He says sometimes registrars are rather difficult to deal with on this issue. And he says he doesn't want to change a company name just because the registrar arbitrarily changes or thinks that it doesn't fit your SB guidelines. Okay. Okay. So I think I'll just let her respond to you. Okay, I'll just let her respond to you, and then we'll come and pick maybe one or two. Over to you.
That's an interesting question by Latif. And before I respond to Latif's question, one of the issues that I needed to mention with regard to the use of technology, I think the COVID-19 pandemic was a good learning for many nations and institutions. And I must say that because we had prepared an infrastructure for online registration, URSB continued to work. We did not close at any one moment. And so there was business continuity in that respect, and made it easy for us when you're registering in our homes with the internet. Going to the company names, thank you, Latif. Indeed, that is a situation that Uganda and other jurisdictions have faced in terms of name exhaustion, if I may use that word, that almost every name is taken. And it also, within our internal research, sometimes people have to even search for as many as 6, 7, 10 names to get the name of their preference that is not confusingly similar to what we have on the register. Maybe I could start with how do we examine a name? When we receive an application, we take it through a name examination criteria. And under the law, a name can be similar, like Latif Investments, Latif Agencies, Latif Productions. But the only distinctive factor is it must not be confusingly similar. If somebody wanted to register Latif K Investments, it can easily confuse an ordinary person on the street. And the test that we use under the law is the test of an ordinary person on an omnibus. When we were studying the law, that was the test. And it hasn't changed. Maybe we could modify it, that it's the test of an ordinary person on a border. If a border man saw Latif K Investments and Latif Investments, they would think they are one and the same. And so that is the test we use. And we say, no, this is, yes, we appreciate your name preference. Some of these names are emotional. Some of these names are named after our parents. Some of these names are named after our spouses, our children, and we are attached to them. And we want them, and we don't want any excuse. But what we have devised as a registry, we say we believe that every name that is rejected is a business rejected. Every name that is rejected by a registrar is a business rejected, because people lose morale. If I cannot get to this name, then I will not register. And we have been in conversations to come up with models that will work for our community that has 46 million people and so many businesses that are run in all parts of the country. Every day there's a mall coming up, and there are common businesses on every mall. There's either a salon, a pharmacy, a boutique, an eatery. There are common businesses, and most of these businesses are not registered. When you do a census of businesses that are operating in the municipalities, the businesses that have trading licenses, you'll be shocked. And even you'll be shocked to learn that even since the 1910, our registrars have less than 1 million registered businesses. And these are business names and companies. And maybe even the exercise of striking off some companies doing the beneficial ownership exercises also reduce the companies, because many of these companies are dormant. And we also learned that many people are company certificate collectors. They register this, they register this. Meanwhile, they're not even running businesses of shell companies. You know, there's that business. They're just collectors of companies. They don't operate or build businesses. So it's one thing to have a certificate, it's another thing to build a business. So coming back to the name, so we are devising models, that Latif investments can be registered, but this is after also reforming some of these laws, and these are the models and the proposals that we're bringing on the table, with an distinctive identifier. The same way you have a NIN, because there's a Latif with a similar name, but they are distinguishable in the bank, while the same bank where you have an account, by a NIN, or son of so-and-so, or daughter of so-and-so. So behind the scenes, we can make those identifiers by giving them a unique business registration number. And this is why we are going, because at the end of the day, every business we refuse, every business name we reject is a business rejected. And we want as many businesses as possible. How would we build incentives? And those are some of the flexibilities as registrars we have to put in place. But at the end of the day, also to balance it on the other side, we have had so many cases against us for issuing names that even are not so similar, and costs have been awarded. So we need to have a change of mindset, and this is where we are going, that you can have names, but they can be distinguishable by unique numbers that can be attributed, that you can't have a Latif investments with the same number. So that's where we are going, and we want to apologize for the inconveniences caused by our office by rejecting your name. We are following the law to the book, but also we have to balance it with the commercialization, the commercial aspects of the economy, because we are building the economy. You can't build the economy when we continue to reject names that are of your interest. So within a few months, we'll be making some models, but this also does not give you a ticket to thrive and still the goodwill, ride on the goodwill of the already established names. But also you can strengthen your name through registration of a trademark, because the company and business names does not give you, that makes you distinctive in the marketplace, but does not give you proprietary rights. But for a trademark, it gives you proprietary rights. If it is Latif with a logo, unique, it strengthens your business, and nobody can steal your trademark or use it without authorization. And so that is the case. And we are also deploying some level of artificial intelligence. When you look at the UK register, it will even tell you the level of similarity. Even us in the IPAS system and some level of the business search, it will tell you this name is 60% or 75% similar to what is already registered. And we gauge the level of similarity and what is in the red, what is going to put you in the danger zone and safety zone, and we balance it for you. But also to cool it down for all of us, it is in your own interest that you also have a distinctive name, because people abuse names and reputations. We have cases where people have abused company names and reputations, and because of the confusing similarity, somebody may block your business or steal your business identity. So sometimes I want to use the common words, chiyambamwe, when we reject, chiyambamwe ate gwofunamu, when we protect and want you to be distinctive in the marketplace. But we've seen that the distinctiveness standard has sort of shifted in this digital age, and the business formalization and corporate registers of the modern societies. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. I think Natif has been ably answered, and everybody that had a question in that line. I'd like to hand over to Elison right now. We'll be back to the questions along the way.
Greetings, if you're just joining us. Welcome to the, I've been advised, the Lawyers' Parliament. I've been advised we may need to apply to URSB for a change of name. And it's good Natif has had how he can strengthen his brand, and he should go for stronger marks. You know, there is a picture of him always roasting. You know, he's always roasting online or being roasted. There's a picture of him roasting. He can give that picture a certain level of intellectual property. I also have my own picture. I've seen Yuli using my picture in a funny way with a gun to my head, but I also think I need to come to one of the registries so that people like His Worship Joel Wegoye don't start misusing our pictures. But if you're just joining us, we are discussing all things registration, and we are learning. And I want to hand over to another of our colleagues here, incidentally called Mercy Makabai Chemutai. Mercy is also a young lawyer, but she's also a corporate and commercial lawyer, I think an insolvency practitioner as well. And she really earns her bread and butter from engaging with URSB. So over to you, Mercy.
Thank you, Elison. You're right, I do earn my bread and butter. Corporate and commercial advisory, which really the bedrock is in formalizing these entities that come into the country or that are within the country. People who want to start businesses and then we submit a name and it's rejected. I really like how you stated that rejection of a business name is rejecting a business altogether. And they do lose a lot of morale to push, but we have found ways of at least creating distinctive factors in the name. And we're working with that, but we're excited to hear what else URSB is doing to support us on that. Just riding on the question of digital transformation, I've got a question from a colleague. If URSB is focusing on digital transformation, why do they insist on wet ink signatures, yet we can actually get electronic signatures which can properly be trailed within the system to indicate that they are being signed by the right people from within the companies? So why is URSB insisting on wet ink signatures when we can transform ourselves and actually rely on electronic signatures? Sorry?
What is wet ink?
Yes, wet ink signatures are where I get my blue pen and the paper, I print it out and I sign. And then now I scan it and then it is put on this URSB system. But an electronic signature would be one that has an internal way of authentication within particular organizations or individuals on how they do their electronic signatures. But ultimately, by the time I receive a document, it would be authenticated as an electronic signature. So the question here is, why aren't we relying on electronic signatures, and why do we insist on wet ink signatures?
Well, that's an interesting question. Thank you. I'll call you Makabai because you know we regulate traditional knowledge and folklore, and traditionally we are told that when you mention your name, you will not grow old or will not grow tall. So since we share the name, I will preserve it because I'm still growing. Anyway, that's on a lighter note. But it is true that we protect traditional knowledge. Digital transformation, the wet ink versus the electronic signature. I think what people need to appreciate is that, first of all, many people confuse the scanned signature as an electronic signature. When you scan your document and send it to URSB, that's not an electronic signature. An electronic signature is clearly defined, and it has an infrastructure for it to conform to an electronic signature. And the government of Uganda has been in the process of building an infrastructure of an electronic signature using the services of ANITA, Uganda, And we believe that very soon that infrastructure will be laid. Without that infrastructure, it's going to be difficult to protect wholly the interests, legal interests that we register in all the registries of government, including lands and trusts and cooperative societies and so on. And there are big transactions. When you see a transaction of transfer of shares, and I told you majority of the cases against us are transfer of shares, and we have learned from the lessons, and somebody just transfers, wants to transfer shares from the Natif Investments company by just a mere forged or fabricated hand writing or imitated a signature. And there are big transactions where we have to first do the verification system. And there are also layers within our institution which are confidential, and wouldn't want to disclose how the steps we take to protect the properties in terms of shares and the companies and the intellectual assets that clients register. And so when sometimes we ask for evidence, or we go ahead to ask for attestation or statutory declarations or powers of attorney, we are giving it another layer of protection of the interests of that are in that transaction. We've seen land being transferred in that way, accounts being drained that way. So there are transactions where we will not move fast. We have to take them through a process. And our request and prayer is that bear with us when we ask for another layer of approval. Or
If I could just interrupt you for a minute. I think we were knocked off X. You know, when Donald Trump was interviewed by Elon Musk, X crashed. And I can tell you that there were thousands and thousands of people listening to you. So X, unfortunately, crashed. No, there was no time limit. I think it simply crashed.
but you can still activate it now.
Yes, we are on now. So if you're just joining us from X, we were still going on. Our YouTube audience is still there. Thank you for enduring, and I think TikTok as well. But I think we had partially lost some of our people on X, and they're coming back on. I think as they come on, I think URSB may also have to log on, as well as. But if you're just joining us from X, welcome to the Judicial Service Conversations. We are having part 2 of our conversation with the Registrar General and Official Receiver of the Uganda Registration Services Bureau of the Republic of Uganda, Mercy Kainobwisho. And I can see that a lot of the people who were on are joining us. I must announce to you, Registrar General, that I think we had a massive audience on X previously. I'm seeing an audience of about 13,000 people who are listening to you previously. I hope you're all on. Yeah. And I think though that you had taken, I think you had been going through the answer about the blue signatures and electronic signatures. And even me, I must confess, I was among the people who thought that my signature on the paper, which we then upload, is my electronic signature. But now I have, but I usually give my electronic signatures to Mercy. So and she has actually never bothered to educate me on my ignorance on this point. Please proceed.
Yes, thank you to our listeners and our viewers. Indeed, we are taking it to the digital transformation. With digital transformation comes a lot of changes in terms of the managing and running the corporate registers. And like we mentioned, it's not about the paperwork or clerical work. It's about the transactions, the business transactions that are being moved by any document that is filed with us. And I'd mentioned that many people confuse the scanned signatures with electronic signatures. Scanned signatures are not electronic signatures. An electronic signature has its own form, and it requires an infrastructure, and this infrastructure is usually deployed by a nation. And at the moment, Uganda has been in the process of putting in place an electronic signatures infrastructure with through the Anita Uganda, and maybe soon we shall have that infrastructure that will minimize fraud, and also will limit the verification levels that sometimes the registry has to us to protect the interests in every company. You can't afford to just accept a transfer of shares that are worth billions or millions from one person to another. You have to subject it to another verification criteria. You can't afford to transfer a company interests like land that is anywhere, even in prime places, to another entity or to an individual without subjecting it to another layer of verification. Otherwise, we have seen cases of fraud, and we need to minimize. So we encourage our listeners and our clients that yes, we will receive and process transactions easily, but there are those transactions where we'll need to make the verifications in order to protect the interest in that entity. And one thing we need to appreciate as well is that the digital infrastructure comes with a lot of systems. We have the software components of the systems, like the processes, the apps, these online registration systems, but also there's the hardware component. The kind of the quality of the scan document that you upload. We have defined formats and quality, and the system will reject some of those that are not clear, and we always encourage our clients that we are always online to respond, and we also have a website that has a chatbot, and you get responses instantly. And at the end of the day, yes, we are here to protect the interests of the owners of these entities, intellectual property, the security interest in movable property as well, but also make sure that the corporate register has authentic data, and we promote the data integrity and the data governance aspects of our what we register, because the economy relies on our registers to take decisions, our registers to grow, but also to build investor confidence. And here investors, we mean the local investors, you and I, and also the foreign investors. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think that helps us as the lawyers as we keep requesting our clients to design documents here and there. I think it's clear that it's also for their protection, most importantly. Talking about authenticity of information provided to URSB and economic value that URSB then contributes to the nation at large, we know that it's a very transparent database listed from the anti-money laundering grey list. And this was as a result of a number of things, but how did URSB contribute to that particular change? Especially keeping in mind that I know that companies were required to file a beneficial ownership form, but more importantly, the information on that form needed to be accurate. So how do you think URSB contributed to that particular change, and how was that change important for investors, both local and international or foreign investors in the country?
Thank you, Makabai. Indeed, that's a very important question, because when I mentioned the registers that we host, and I think I missed mentioning the beneficial ownership register. That is one of the registers that we have. The beneficial ownership register globally is a new and emerging register. It's a new register, and the climax of its relevance came around 2 years ago, when we had the international framework that wanted to emphasize compliance in as far as the ownership of companies is concerned. Beneficial ownership basically it's a concept that relates to disclosing the real owner of the business. You know that in some cases you find that the names in some entities are not the real owners, and yet the transactions are done by other people. And so in order globally to stop the money laundering or the financing of terrorism and other aspects that relate to illicit trade, the global networks and framework insist that many people use entities, registered entities, to practice money laundering. And it is at that stage where they gave instructions to all countries to make sure that they disclose the real owners. It's not that every company is affected, but it was a compliance mechanism. And we had to run a phase where we called upon companies to come and verify the data, to come and confirm where they are the owners. Because beneficial ownership, who is a beneficial owner under the law? The beneficial owner is the owner, the real owner, or the warm body behind the shares in that company. Not even a company behind the company, the warm body, and the warm body is a person. Because at the end of the day, you find a company is owned by companies, then the companies are owned by companies. By the time you get to the real owner, it is really you use the traceability. And so we had to clean up our data. We had to invite the public to register, to file those forms. They were free. And we had to strike off many companies for non-compliance at that stage, because we were on the grey list. Going to the blacklist center was going to be detrimental to a country like Uganda, and we were placed in the category of countries that we wouldn't want to find ourselves in, that have had global sanctions for a long time. And we complied and we survived as a country. And now we have even upgraded our legislative system to make sure that we file the beneficial ownership form every year. It is basically for transparency, and it is you, the owners of the company, that know if you're the people that are on the register, well and good. If there are other people, still you can disclose. So, and then also creating literacy around company ownership. Because at the end of the day, certificate of registration is evidential. It has evidential value of ownership of the company, and it's the shareholders in those companies that own the companies. But also, it strengthened our compliance around the corporate register, And the corporate register, among many registers, was the target that if URSB had not done the reforms, the legal reforms, the administrative reforms, Uganda would have ended up on the blacklist. But we do not work alone. We worked with the Ministry of Justice, which is our mother ministry, guided by the Minister, Honorable Norbert Mao, guided by the Honorable Attorney General, KK, Mr. Kiwanuka, the Solicitor General, then the Ministry of Finance, the PSST, the Ministers of Finance, the Ministry of Lands, so many ministries, departments, and agencies came together to make reforms so that we comply. And the good news is that we complied and we survived going on to the blacklist, and Uganda is compliant. But usually the international framework that evaluates and assesses our compliance always does it like every 2 or 3 years, and they'll be coming back in 2 years to also see where we are at. So it's an international framework, but at the end of the day it is to create transparency around corporate registers and also improve the data integrity and reliability. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think that's very important for people who are creating companies, because they need to understand the importance of declaring the right individuals and those beneficial ownership forms, because ultimately that documentation is relied on by banks, it's relied on by anybody who does a search and wants to really understand who's behind this company. Lastly, when you look at what URSB has done in the last 3 years, keeping in mind that how we handle this particular situation of family open, everybody, there is credit that there's been a lot of digital transformation and a lot of it has been because of what you've done with URSB. A lot of people are wondering, mainly I think the young lawyers who want to join URSB, what are you doing to ensure that the people who come after you are prepared to improve where you might do things? But so in essence, what mentorship structures are you creating internally at URSB? How you prepare the younger registrars for the fund and challenges at some point dealing with certain registrars, but really how are you preparing the younger registrars to be able to have the same attitude that you have, the delivery spirit, and ensuring that URSB only grows? The other question is around how do we sustain this to make sure we don't go backwards, because we do have scenarios where URSB shuts down and you're stuck. You can't do anything at that point. So what systems are we putting in place? Because we're trusting the system to incorporate these companies and keep all this information. We no longer have hard copy files, for instance. What systems are we putting in place to make sure that we do not find ourselves in a very terrible situation? And really, it's to understand, when you look at URSB in the coming years, what are in the next 5 years, what other changes should we expect to ensure that URSB continues to grow?
Thank you, Makaba. Indeed, it's not the young lawyers that are worried about the future or future-proofing Uganda Registration Services Bureau, but I think even the elderly like Elison must be also worried about the same. That is on a lighter note. It's a blessing to be senior. And thank you. You asked a very important question. It's a legacy question. What legacy are you putting in place for the next generation? What legacy are you putting in place for the young lawyers, registrars, economists, ICTs? Because URSB has a mix of all professions. I think out of how many, about 426 staff, we are close to about 90-something lawyers, and with a law firm, but also supported by the Attorney General's chambers. And so what are we doing for the young people? We have a number of administrative measures we have put in place in terms of mentorship, training. We have the Young Leaders Mentorship Program at Uganda Registration Services Bureau, By coincidence, URSB is a young institution in terms of the staffing. The median age is around about 30, 34. Thereabout, we are young people. And so we are highly innovative. That's why you see a lot of speed, a lot of flexibility, a lot of adaptability. And we have trained our ICT teams. We have put in place clear infrastructure in terms of the hardware. Every staff must have a digital device that enables them to do their work. We have put in place flexibility measures that you may not have to be physically in the office. You can work off-site as long as you log into your system and take out all the work that, or process the work that has been sent to you digitally. We have empowered the human resource because the leadership, the board of governors and the board of directors and the senior management believe in a people-centered leadership. So we value people because for us, I think why systems work and why you see there's a revolution in terms of growth, upscaling in URSB is because that we believe that you have to empower people professionally. You have to give them the trust. You have to give them the tools and the data they need to do the work. And then you give them the infrastructure because it's the people that kill the system. You may put a very good, beautiful system, and actually our systems are homegrown. They're Ugandan-grown systems. Apart from the intellectual property system, which is connected globally and supported by the World Intellectual Property Organization, all our systems are locally made, developed by our local ICT professionals, many through the Ministry of ICT. And so we have trained our teams in all these aspects. And we make sure that the sustainability plan, because we put in place also an ICT sustainability plan, we have an AI strategy, we have all these, an all digital, all online strategy as Uganda Registration Services Bureau, because we decided to go online. Going online is one thing, but sustaining yourself online is at another level. It requires the replacement of hardware. It requires refresher courses. Now we have artificial intelligence. You have to train the staff, all staff, on using artificial intelligence systems and how it is affecting our work or supporting our work. We have to make sure we upgrade our software systems, comply with the licensing requirements. We have to make sure that we upgrade our data recovery systems. We have to make sure that we have backup systems everywhere, that when this route A goes off, we have route B, because we are 100% online and we can never go back. And so that's why you see a lot of investment now is being channeled in ICT infrastructure. And we are happy that Uganda's internet has been stable. You go to other countries, sometimes it's on and off. Our internet has been stable. What we need to address now is the digital divide in terms of, yes, as we deploy staff in the regional offices, in the villages, in our door-to-door activities, how do we balance it? And this is where we have mobile registration tools, registration on the go. We have a mobile registration van. It moves around. they move around the country, and it also serves on a needs basis. If you have a group or a community that you want us to reach, we come there and register instantly, because the registration also is enabled by the online payment system. You can pay your registration fee by mobile money, you can pay with a Visa, you can pay with by connecting to your bank. So it has been made easy. So coming back to the people issue, we make sure that we empower these people and give them the tools and the resources to run these systems without prejudice. Well, you will find that when you start with systems, these systems may cost billions, and you don't bring the people on board. That's why you'll find people claiming that the system is off, because you did not bring them on board. You have to change their mindset and make them appreciate that whatever they are doing is even not clerical, as people think, but adds to national development. So, and we have the key performance indicators as officers of URSB. We know what we're supposed to deliver every day. How many documents in the system should I process? And if I don't, how do I explain this? Or what there's always, you have to account. There's accountability and transparency. And so as I conclude on that point, surely the people that are interested in joining URSB, the young people that work with URSB are catered for in terms of empowerment, in terms of training, in terms of creating a conducive environment. An environment in terms of the physical, but also the mental environment. We give you the sign, but we treasure families. We know that if you're not available, there's somebody else to step in. People go and leave, and it's mandatory in URSB to go and leave. It's mandatory to take rests and reset. Even when you don't take leave, we write to you, you have not taken leave, please go and leave. We don't care where you spend your, but you go and leave, go and reset. But also the fact that we have created the physical infrastructure. We have our headquarters in Kololo, the Uganda Business Facilitation Center, which is a government of Uganda building. It has 4 levels of parking and is 12 levels of office space, and we share it with Uganda Investment Authority, Capital Markets Authority, the Presidential CEOs Forum, but we also have a one-stop center where all government entities that affect or contribute to the business registration, but also the after-business registration care, which is licensing, investment license, tax licensing, water license, electricity, utilities, and so on, are stationed to attend to those that would want to learn and understand the whole process. But we also have the virtue or our one-stop centers. So we have tried to approach it on a 360 degrees level, that you empower the people, give them the tools, give them a good environment, so they sit in good offices, but also go to the field. We are in markets. We are on the ground. We have a campaign that has a tagline, Chiri Ize, Tuli Kuground. Tuli Kuground. So we are on the ground. So when you see us on the ground in Chukubo, in Gulu, in Lira, in our overalls, in T-shirts, on borders, on those wagons and buses, and we are, trying to market our services, we want to move the informal sector to the formal sector, because the informal sector is missing out on the incentives and benefits of registration. And we can't do it alone. We have not done it alone. We thank the lawyers, the economists, the pharmacists, everyone has been a key player. Because every business that is being built is survival for a family. It is wealth for a family. It is a job for a family. It is legacy. So we are looking at legacy. So to comfort you, Makabai, we are running this entity as a legacy entity, because when I was submitting from the beginning, the registry started in 1910. And I appreciated the leaders that started it. They preserved the documentation that we digitized and the systems. They had their own challenges of those days, but they did their best to safeguard and preserve the integrity of the registries. And now we have taken it to another level in terms of digitization, and sustainability must be assured. And also when we leave, the other leaders that are emerging will take it to another level. That even 116 years later from today, somebody else will be speaking of something different. That maybe it is now mandatory to register business, because in Uganda is such a conducive environment, but also so understanding that they don't make it mandatory to register business before you start it. That's why you see everyone, a business sprouting here, closing, sprouting, doing very good logos, business cards on TikTok, but they're not registered. Somehow, in the future, as a solution, when Uganda puts a law on making it mandatory that before you start a business, you must register, that is when we'll have more people coming in the formal sector. And this is happening. It has happened in our neighboring countries. You don't register business in countries that I don't want to mention, all our neighbors, without incorporation or registration, because there's a difference between incorporation and registration of a business. Even in some countries, they go ahead that if you are a foreigner, you must have a local who has a certain stake in that company. In Uganda, anyone, any two, because the law provides any one or more persons. The old law, the CAP 85, and used to provide any two or more persons. But now the law provides, the current Companies Act, any one or more persons can incorporate a company in Uganda. It means that even you are Chinese, even you are British, can incorporate a local company under the Companies Act of Uganda. And there's a difference between a company that has shareholding of foreigners and a company that is registered outside Uganda and comes to register here. Many people think that a company which has two shareholders registered here in Uganda under the Companies Act is the foreign company. No, that's not the foreign company. A foreign company is that company that is registered out abroad, outside Uganda, maybe in Kenya, but it's incorporated there, but to register. So register it, we don't incorporate it. So I don't want to go into technicalities. I get passionate when it comes to corporate registers, but really we need to build this literacy. And thank you to this platform. These are the conversations that we should be taking out there. Uganda has created a conducive environment for registration. In terms of the legal framework, we have the latest laws in Africa. In terms of the institutional framework, we have the best institutions set up to run this. And we must understand that nations are built on institutions, but institutions must be functional. And these institutions are run by the people. So when you empower these people, when you empower the people, they run institutions. And when institutions are run with the right mission, with the right mindset, with the right leaders, they build nations. And this is what the message in Achimoglu's book, Why Nations Fail, and the Disolo's book, this is the message. Build institutions. And institutions that also do corporate registers are the foundation of any economy. There's no debate about it. Because they assure you of legal protection, ownership. That, where do you get ownership? That of a company, or a registered business, or IP, or intellectual property. It's only in those registers, the IP offices, the corporate registers. Where do you get information on transactions of any entity? It is through those corporate registers. So it's very clear that if we support these corporate registers, modernize them, the economy will be phew. Thank you.
She feels like she's taking off from you a few years from now.
Okay.
Yes, yeah. Makaba is very comfortable now. She even feels that she may take over from you a few years from now, because I was a delegate. And we just have two questions from the non-annual audience. One is was asking whether URSB also handles disputes of associations or investment clubs which are registered with it. Then this one seems I think he has this coming with the SSL. This is Bill Joseph is asking how does URSB handle the issue of the requirement for beneficial ownership filings for public credit companies and public entities? For example, NSSF is the original for public entities that have been people joining and quitting the company.
Thank you. Yes, I think building on that question, I'm getting a lot of questions on the same aspect, how you handle publicly listed companies, foreign governments, and yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. With regard to a dispute resolution on investment clubs and constitutions, of course, investment clubs and constitutions are also another outfit that we register under the documents registration law. And there are some that have been registered as companies limited by shares and any other outfit. So as long as there's a dispute that relates to our mandate and it's been brought to our attention, we address it. So investment clubs and constitutions are registered with us, we have jurisdiction. But those that are not registered with us, maybe like the cooperative societies, we do not have jurisdictions, and we don't handle them. The issue of beneficial ownership keeps coming up, and I wanted to refer to some provision of the law. I hope I can get it. First of all, we need to understand the nature of the public companies. There are those that have so many shareholders. There are those that are listed on the stock exchange and are known by the Capital Markets Authority. There are those that also change frequently in terms of ownership, like you mentioned. And because this the changes and the nature or the outfit of public listed companies is unique. Sometimes it's difficult and not practical to identify just a single ultimate beneficial owner, the same way that you have in private companies which have few shareholders and they have also a shareholding ceiling. So what usually is done is that we look at, because I mentioned that a beneficial owner is a natural person, the warm body behind the shares. We usually look at some level of percentage or the majority shareholder, and we take interest in that. Not that the minor or minority shareholders are neglected, but we want to also balance the influence in terms of who has control of that entity, who has big control of that entity. And why you find that there are so many, you could even look at this, the majority shareholders or the senior management officials, or even we have companies that are owned by the state or directors controlling. So we use a unique approach to get the people behind these entities. And the listed companies also cause a lower risk because we have under the Financial Action Task Force, the FATF, their standards. Actually, the standards have recently been changed upgraded and even made so stringent. They state that listed companies are subjected to the robust disclosure rules, and also may be treated as a lower risk in terms of beneficial ownership concealment. So it depends on the how well they are regulated, and also the disclosure requirements as well. I think that is for the public companies.
Okay, if you're just joining us, I think I've also got a message here from His Worship Joel Wegoye, the man who puts bad pictures on his Yuli page. He says that all URSB cases now are also reported on Yuli. I don't know if this is correct, Madam RJ. I don't know if you can respond to that. His Worship Joel Wegoye from the Judicial Training Institute, who runs the web page Yuli, he says that all the URSB cases determined, I think, by the registrars, are now also reported on Yuli.
Yes.
So
I mentioned that. Yes, all our internal decisions are published with Yuli, but also we have a URSB case digest that we publish every year, and the latest is available, the one for last year, and now we are working on the next one. So we have a case digest that is also available on our website. Yes.
Okay. Absolutely incredible. You can see that URSB is taking massive strides together with the justice, law and order sector, and we are seeing a massive democratization of information, collection of information, and incredible stuff. I think maybe I will go to, I think it's now 19 minutes past 9. We've been here quite a while, and to your great credit, we dropped off, and I think everybody who was off seems to have come back on. I don't think people decided to go home, so I must say that I think we are all learning, and I thank the Registrar General for really taking time off in the evening to teach us. And I think the last question really which I'll ask you is about the future. I think Mercy had touched on it, but that is of course Mercy Makabai. Yes. I think she had touched on a question about legacy. You lead a team of about 400, I don't know, are they 400 or 500 people? 426. About 426 people. And you've been behind us. We've had a lot of technological innovation, a lot of regulatory reforms. I mean, just the whole idea that in 2025 I can sit down and get the jurisprudence of the registry online is absolutely incredible. What do you think 5 years, if you look now into the future, what is URSB and what is Mercy dreaming of for URSB?
That's an interesting question. Actually, yes, Makabai had touched it. I think I missed it, but the future of URSB, indeed, like I mentioned, whatever we're doing, we are future-proofing Uganda Registration Services Bureau in terms of the data integrity, the data governance, economic decisions that are influenced by the foundations of the corporate registers and intellectual property registers, the legal and administrative reforms that continue to emerge, and many others. So the URSB of the future is a URSB that is going to upscale its services. It's a URSB that is going to protect the gains that they have made, but also upscale. It's a URSB. We are moving into mass registration, door-to-door registration of communities, the women, the market women, the men, the young entrepreneurs, the young lawyers. We are now going to focus on communities, different communities, and also simplification. We continue to simplify the process through easing the accessibility. Yes, we have the systems, online systems on board. We are developing an application, a URSB app that will make it easy to register business. We are working on agency registration, the same way as agency banking. The way you use any spaces for agency banking, these mobile money spaces, we want to deploy the agency registration. That registration does not have to be done by a URSB officer, but also through the local government, the district commercial officers, through the infrastructure of government that is already set, through banks, that is the financial institutions, because it's just online. It's a matter of deploying the system and empowering people to do that. Why only limited to the 47 municipalities physically where we are located, the big 6 regional offices, but also online and in Kampala with our registration stations. So we are opening it up to agency registration, but also we are looking at utilizing the technology and innovation centers. We have been building simply known as innovation hubs in the different research and development institutions and universities. So far, we have 38. We have even gone into the school programs where we are running projects to promote intellectual property in schools, in secondary schools, because innovation starts at a young age. Elison, if you had protected your intellectual property in primary school, I know you as a bright student, you'd be a billionaire. Not that I'm saying that you're not a billionaire, but you'd be a good billionaire at another level. Yes, so there are so many opportunities. So we want to catch the young people, the young communities, and build that literacy at a young age, that in primary school, you know that you can protect your intellectual property, your song, your creative work, your artistic work, and have your protection, and you keep earning royalties. You can sing a song. We've seen young people singing songs. They can get their intellectual property and it pays them. You've seen people on social media platforms, TikTok, YouTube, they're being paid for their creative work. So we want to build those avenues for the young people to grow a population that appreciates the commercialization of intellectual property, but also a population that respects the intellectual property with the counterfeits. We want to reach a time where a person cannot buy a counterfeit product because they have the information, not because they don't know. Many people buy counterfeit products because they don't know, or others know because the customer attitude, they just want to fit the standard by just putting on a brand. I am not authorized to mention brands here, as they haven't paid the marketing fee for you. So we need to build that community, and the solution is also in reforming some of the laws to make it mandatory for registration, because it helps the communities. But also we are trying to work on incentives for registration. What is in it for me? If you ask the local person with a stall in Owino Market, why would I register? First of all, it's affordable. A business name used to be 24,000, now it's about 55,000. So the person that is somebody's capital. How do we even promote free registration for certain groups of people? That's the community. In fact, somebody asked about inclusiveness. The inclusivity plan for URSB is looking at waiving registration fee for like young communities. You have finished university, you are a young entrepreneur, you want to start a business, you don't have even startup capital. So how do you enter on the register? Government should be able to register you for free and give you that incentive, so that you, in maybe 5 or 3 years, you can somehow pay a tax or pay indirect or direct tax. But also another emerging issue recently, actually last year, effective 1st July 2025, there was a framework by the Ministry of Finance through the government policy to allow businesses that register to be given that 3-year break, or in terms of paying taxes, and they pay after 3 years. So those are the incentives that Uganda is making, that we try to open up, build the incentives so that we cause attraction for people to come on the register. And then when they come on the register, we'll have a formalized economy. We will have more people paying a little tax, but we have the numbers. Now you find that it's just a few people with a few companies running the economy. So if we get so many people, millions of people register their businesses, government benefits in terms of household incomes, which the president has been promoting. How do you grow your household incomes? Family businesses, establish a family business, grow your wealth, and support the market, and contribute to the national development in one way or another. We're also trying to look at the sectors. What is happening in the oil and gas sector? What is happening in the construction industry? We see a lot of companies being registered, by the way, in that area. So it should inform the business communities that when you start a business of hardware or cement, it will work, because there are so many businesses, there's so much construction. So how do we also want to see how researchers can rely on our data to make decisions, to determine decisions. The Ministry of Planning, on Finance and Planning, that is in charge of planning, uses our data to look at the trends as well. So there's a lot in the future for URSB. There's a lot in the now, but also there's a lot in the future for URSB. But we cannot talk about the future of registries when you, the listener, and the person watching, has not registered your business. You have not protected your interests in terms of registering your business. You've not protected your family by registering that family, the family assets, into maybe a trust or a cooperative society or a firm to protect your assets. You have not registered your intellectual property asset in terms of the logo, the innovation that we have created. And another smart person will do it, and by the time you do it, it will be already taken, and these are the disputes we'll be hearing with evidence-based submissions. So there's a lot that these corporate registries do to transform nations. So URSB is no longer a data collector or a storage facility. It is an institution that forms the foundation of legal and economic decisions of a country. Thank you very much.
Wow, I can hear the applause. And I think is there a microphone that's not muted? I think that at the Judicial Service Conversations, we're also going to have to come to URSB very soon, and make sure that we protect we protect the assets, we protect the intellectual property. I think it is only fair that we move this conversation forward by protecting the intellectual property that is there. Now, if you've just joined us, as we usually tell you at this particular moment, you're late. But I can tell you this has been a remarkable conversation. It has been clear, it has been candid, it has been very informative, educative. We now can say without fear of contradiction that it was wonderful to have you here, Mercy. You've reminded us that institutions matter. Joy usually asks a question about the books you're reading, but we shall spare you that one. She likes asking people about the books they are reading. But you've really shown us that institutions matter, that leadership matters, that the integrity of our business environment matters, and that true leaders are those who are willing to come on at night after a very busy day, where I must congratulate you. I was reading that you are ISO certified, and I can confirm, and the listeners of the Judicial Service Conversations can confirm that you are truly ISO certified. And so thank you for your time, for your openness, and for the work you continue to do for the country that you love and serve. To all of you who joined us tonight, thank you. The numbers showed it. The space dropped, but your ideas didn't, and people came back. The conversations traveled, the questions were good, the engagement was real. But over to you, Mercy. I think there's a point.
Yes, thank you so much, Elison and colleagues, for hosting us, and to our clients, our partners out there. We thank you very much for trusting the services of URSB that impact on the national development. And I want to take this opportunity to thank the staff of Uganda Registration Services Bureau that have committed and given their professional weight and to do the best. But also we thank the board of directors of URSB, the Minister and the Attorney General, and all partners, the PSST, and all government MDAs for the support, because we work in partnership. We can all move together as a nation and make Uganda a better place by protecting and safeguarding the registries, because they influence every decision that we make in this nation. I thank you very much, and I say all this for God and my country.
What the Parliament of the Bar, what the Parliament of the Lawyers, the Lawyers' Parliament is. This is exactly what it is. Now, Mercy, if we could just close on just two things. Maybe Joy's question, because I think you gave us some nice books, The Death of Distance, Why Nations Fail. There was another one, I wrote it somewhere. So maybe if you could just give us 2 or 3 books you're reading, and then a song. Now, usually we end with a song here. But the history of the song, I think I will not tell you. I will not take you there, for reasons that you are a person who serves the entire Uganda. Our song was not. It was not for the entire Uganda. So, but now we want to. So we are going to ask you to just give us maybe 2 books you're reading, and then to close off with a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful song. But if you're just joining us, I assure you, I promise you, you are late and you have missed. But over to you, Mercy.
Oh, thank you so much, Elison. I love reading books. I'm a book reader. I'm a book collector. I can read 3 books in one go. But I'll just recommend, there's a book among the books that I've read that I read many years ago. It's Never Eat Alone by Keith Ferranzi. Never Eat Alone, just the subject alone.
Alfred needs it.
Yes, it's a good book. Yes. But also the yes, of course, I talked about Why Nations Fail. I read it many years ago. But also I love the fact that we look at national development, transformational leadership. And one of the leaders I follow, apart from the president of this nation and the leaders of this nation, is the Lee Kuan Yew. Studied about Lee Kuan Yew, the former Prime Minister of Singapore, on moving from third world to the first world, and he tells a story of how he transformed Singapore. And these are the models that we should use, and we use also as nations, but also as institutions. How do you move the corporate registers of third world to corporate registers of first world? We can have first world registers in a third world or developed country through using those models. And the other books I'm reading are religious. There's one I recently finished. It is I love local authors. It is it talks about the power of networking, and it is by a local author. Let me pick it skips my mind, but it's basically about networking. How do you position yourself? Don't be comfortable in a space where where you are. Look for people who are better than you. Look for people who you can position you better. Sometimes we find ourselves in comfortable spaces. Just a moment, I really need to read it verbatim. It is by architect Apostle Moses Mukisa, and the book is called the Queen Sheba book. It is, if I can, yes, it is The Uncommon Pursuit. It's the one I finished reading just recently. It's called Uncommon Pursuit, the 18 Life and Leadership Lessons from Queen Sheba. And architect Apostle Moses Mukisa talks about how the Queen Sheba made steps to go further to visit King Solomon with gifts, and got that network, the influence, and was rewarded. So sometimes we sit in our comfort zone, we think you're the best young lawyer, you're the best lawyer, or the best entrepreneur, the best pharmacist, but there are people who are better than you. And the advice is, as you go out of your comfortable zone, look for mentors, look for influencers in the field of your operation, but also look for conferences that relate to your subject matter, especially international conferences, and network, build networks. It is through these networks that you'll get a field of networks, and it connects to actually why never eat alone as well. That when you reach the top, don't forget also support the other people, because you are also supported. So there are so many local authors that I read, but Architect Apostle Mukisa has written good books that relate to the local situations. Sometimes we go to the international, yes, we like the experience, but when the local context is brought to us, we understand better. So for the song, I love, I would say just Endless Love. Endless Love is by Lionel Rich. Yes, I love Endless Love, because I believe in love. We are built out of love. Communities survive out of love. And we need to create love environments for people. And sometimes it is so shocking when you see somebody making it and you want to block their progress. You see a human being has gotten to another level, and your aim is to block. They shouldn't. If I can't get it, nobody should get it. But we all can't shine. You have your space, I have my space. There's the doctrine of abundance. We can all shine in our spaces. So let's spread love and continue to share love as human beings. Thank you.
Thank you. If you're just joining us, love is what we're all about. It's all about love here. I think Bill Joseph had asked a question, but I think your song is the answer to him. He should learn love. Bill is asking that, can you tell the people at LDC to stop forcing students to draft documents under the Business Names Registration Act, which they'll never use in practice, since the system is now in place? I think that question, Bill, we shall give when we get the director LDC. You shall ask her that question. But today, the forms are digital indeed, and I agree with you, Bill. But today we are all about love.